Hi guys, haven't done a video for quite a while. Different varying reasons as to why really. I guess in the last couple of weeks, well the last week or so, my mood hasn't actually been very good, and I've been really sort of struggling emotionally to cope with just with how different things are, and I guess when this coronavirus first started, like, it was something not exciting, but it was different, so it was kind of like, oh okay, I can do this for a little while, and then it went on and it got worse and it got worse and it got worse, and all the normal everyday things just started to stop and close and disappear, and yeah, it kind of hit home. It's gone past that point of it being, this is quite novel, to getting to the point of me going, do you know what, I could do this for a few weeks, but now I'm struggling, and now, you know, my brain is not in a good place, and I'm, you know, I've barely left my flat in the whole, since we went into lockdown, and even though things are easing, and as far as I'm aware, and I don't keep up to date with it because I actually just couldn't cope keeping up to date with the number of deaths and things that were being put down to coronavirus, and I personally have had to, like, take that step back and go, no, I can't do this, can't watch it anymore. It's too hard, and so yeah, so I'm assuming that the levels are still going slowly down, and with that will come the challenges of coming out of a lockdown and starting to function in some sort of way, which I have no idea, and I don't think there's many people that have an idea as to how that's going to work, how it's going to change life forever, and I guess the reason that I decided to do a vlog today is I'm super aware that this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. I know it's Wednesday already, like, but I've been kind of trying to get my head around a way of doing a video on it without it being patronising or like, woe is me, poor me, you know, because there's so many people out there, and I think that this whole situation of this coronavirus, I think, is going to show a lot of people who maybe have been borderline of having a mental health condition or mental health problem. I think it might highlight those people, and it's worrying to think the effect that this situation can have not just on the people that are stuck at home and, you know, not able to go anywhere, but to the mental health of our NHS workers and all of our key workers, who I think probably will be pretty traumatised by this whole situation. And it's confusing and it's strange. And that's kind of how mental health can be: confusing and strange and uncomfortable and crowded yet lonely. There's this whole bunch of emotions, feelings, different compositions, so different mixtures of different things that can create different diagnoses within mental health. There's no one cap fits all. There just isn't. It's not like there's a checklist and you get, unless you get 100% of the symptoms on it, you won't get a diagnosis. It's not like that. There are obviously criterias that they use to kind of assess where you are within the mental health or ill health kind of umbrella of conditions. There are the more obvious mental health conditions. You know, the scary ones. I don't agree with them as being scary, but obviously, you know, some people really, well, the view of people sort of with schizophrenia is that they're scary people. Well, they're not scary people. They're just people who have a problem and need help with it. And when they get the right help, then they are able to manoeuvre through life to the best of their ability. There's always going to be peaks and troughs with mental health conditions. I think there's a very common misconception that you can go to your doctor, get some medication, and do 12 weeks of counselling and cured. It's not like that. For some people, that is enough. That time is enough. That 12 weeks of therapy, it gets them to, you know, be able to see their way forward and go for it. And those, they're not lucky because they've suffered with it, but they are lucky because they maybe haven't suffered with it to a more extreme extent. I'm a pretty open and honest person, and especially when it comes to my mental health. I kind of always have been. I've always tried to not be ashamed of having a mental health condition. I have a mental health condition that is kind of a mixture of different mental health issues that put together create or put together sit underneath an umbrella sort of term. And that umbrella term is emotionally unstable personality disorder. It used to be called borderline personality disorder, but now it's more frequently known as EUPD. I'll say it as EUPD, like, from now on. Now, it's really a very confusing diagnosis. There is no straight way of turning around and saying this is there's no straightforward way of turning around saying you will have this if you have these symptoms, because it's not necessarily the symptoms, but it's how they affect and how much they affect your day-to-day life. So I have depression and I have anxiety, and I also struggle with having suicidal thoughts, and I have struggled in the past with self-harming. It's something that people they can obviously see that I have self-harmed in the past, but they don't know how to ask about it, and they don't understand it. It's very difficult to explain to someone the headspace that you have to be in order to turn to that kind of release, or that kind of escapism, maybe. I'm not sure that's the right word. For me personally, it was always I needed to move the pain, the emotional pain, the emotional pain. When I think the easiest way to kind of explain it is sometimes when people are grieving for a loved one, and you kind of get that heavy feeling right on your chest and in your throat, and it's almost like you can't breathe and you can't swallow because it's sitting right here, and you know that if you breathe or you swallow or whatever, you're just gonna fall apart, and you know that you can't fall apart, so you're trying to get through. And I personally get that sensation. I get it like very much on my chest, very much in my throat. I get anxiety to the point, and this sounds really weird, but stick with me. I get anxiety to the point where I feel it in my teeth, and I have to like clench my jaw to try and relieve it. And everybody that has these conditions have different signs, different symptoms, different ways of coping. And I found that self-harming was my way of moving the pain that felt physical and not just mental, moving it and putting it somewhere else so that it was physical. And there's a part of me that's always felt a little bit like there's a lot of misunderstanding, but just misinformation, really, and knowledge about mental health conditions. I've lost my train of thought. Equally, this is one of the things I really struggle with, is sometimes I can't finish the thought, can't finish a sentence, I can't, it goes. But I was talking about kind of moving that pain, and that's it. The common misconception that because you can't necessarily see it, you can't necessarily look at a crowd of people and go, yeah, that person's got depression, that person's got a mental health condition. You can't do it. It's not that simple. Whereas if I had broken my leg, you know, people would have been like, oh, I'm really sorry, I hope, you know, hope you feel better soon, and would have been, because they can see it physically, they can see what you're struggling with, they have an understanding of it. And so I guess my actual self-harming was a way of, even though I tried my hardest to keep it under wraps for as long as I possibly could, it was my way of being like, I'm not okay, and I don't know what to do with that not being okay. And I don't know how to make people hear that I'm not okay without the self-harming. For me, it started very, very young. I was maybe 12, and I just didn't really fit in anywhere. I just didn't fit in anywhere, and so I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And I guess that was kind of the beginning of it, because I kind of realised that I wasn't in the same headspace, in the same, you know, I wasn't the cool kid, I wasn't the kid with loads of friends, I wasn't a A-star student, I was just me, and I was just trying to get through. And yeah, it was hard, you know, and that kind of builds up, and it ends up changing the chemicals in your brain. It ends up changing the way your brain works, the way the connections are made. And for me, it's very much become, I very much take it in, and I go, oh, it must be me, I'm wrong. I'm in the wrong, I'm the bad person, and so I take it in on myself. Other people can go, I'm not the problem at all, you are, they are, you know. It can be completely different. It just depends on the person, and it depends on the path that their neurons and connections take. And so yeah, it's like secondary school was really hard. And I always wished I had more friends, but I was shy. I didn't really want to draw attention to myself. When I did get attention, it was very negative from a lot of people, and there were a few that actually really stuck with me, and you know, I will always be eternally grateful to those people who stuck with me, and you know, they wanted to be my friend and do things with me. And but I guess for me, I was very, very young when I had my first experiences of mental health problems. And because it's Mental Health Awareness Week, I feel like I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about not just the start of it, but what it's like now. But I'm aware this video is nearly 20 minutes long, so I think what I'm probably going to do is do like a few different sections. So I've kind of done, you know, a little bit of a basic intro about me, my mental health, and I kind of want to move forward from that, but I don't want to do it all in one go, because I think it's too important to rush. And I kind of hope that by being honest, by being open, by trying to explain things, that it helps other people to either understand, if they know me, to understand me and to understand how I react to things, And if they don't know me, to maybe understand that or spot that there's somebody in their life, even if it's themselves, that's really struggling. And maybe just taking the time to stop and actually ask them, are you okay? And actually ask them for the honest, warts and all answer. Because otherwise, you won't get it. A lot of people will just go, yeah, I'm fine. I do it. I'm guilty of doing it. I will turn around and go, yeah, I'm okay. I'm alright. And I'm not. So, yeah, I want to bring awareness. I want to kind of explain my journey. But it's going to be a really long video if I did it all in one. So I'm not. I'm going to stop there. And I'm hoping that people are going to be interested. Like, it would be nice to have some feedback. If people aren't interested, then that's okay. I just won't I won't go any further, because I don't want to upset people either, and I don't want people to feel like I'm preaching at them, because I'm not. I don't know it all. I just know my story. So it'd be nice to get a little bit of feedback, a little bit of go for it, or maybe not. Maybe talk about my diagnosis more. Like I can do that. If you'd rather the more clinical approach than the personal, I'm sure that I've gained enough information over time to kind of explain the EUPD. But yeah, let me know what you think. I don't know how to edit, I do know how to edit videos, but I tend to. I'd rather it be raw and just come as it comes. And so therefore I also don't know how to add all these subscribe here and link there and like and all the rest of it, like a lot of vloggers already do. I'm just sat doing this on my phone. So, if you do want to hear more, like it. If you have any questions, I always put my link onto my Facebook page, so if you're a friend of mine, like it, ask the question there if you want to, and I will try to answer it as honestly as I can. So yeah, do that. Do it. Let's go on this adventure together. This is Mental Health Awareness Week, but that doesn't mean we only talk about it for a week. It just means this is the time when everyone else goes, oh yeah, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. Screw that. Talk about it all the time. Talk about it until people are sick of it. Because the more awareness there is, the more lives that we can probably save. And I will leave you with that and try and do another video tomorrow or in the next few days. So, see you guys. Like it, like I said, subscribe to my channel if you want to. I've got very few followers, but that's fine by me. Take care of yourselves, look after your own mental health, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.